Hello, everyone. My name is Alice Nicols. Welcome to episode 3 of Becoming Influential, the chat show for modern marketers. I'll be hosting this episode alongside Adeesh, a presidential diamond and Australian founder, and our special guests for today are Nicky Skinner and Courtney Dow. Welcome, everybody. Before I dive in today, I do want to add to the intro that currently this episode is being recorded with 3 of us, myself, Adeesh, and Courtney, and Paul would have been here too if flights had allowed or entry to the state would have been allowed. Recording this from Port Douglas, where we are currently, and Nicky for that matter, where we are currently on doTERRA's incentive trip. We're on day 3 of 4 days here. And regardless of what time of year you're listening to the replay of this recording, there will be an incentive trip qualification period coming up for you. So between the group of us, there has been quite a number of incentive trips taken to Uluru or Vietnam or New Caledonia or so many other amazing places. Now, the most incredible thing about incentive trip and why I really want to make sure you have it front and center for the next coming year is that it is not rank based. Any person who joins doTERRA and decides to share the value of these gifts of the earth has the opportunity to make it onto incentive trip, whether you are a brand new wellness advocate aiming for executive or whether you're a presidential diamond within this business. And it's absolutely one of the most incredible experiences that I've ever had with doTERRA, being able to be on incentive trips and meeting phenomenal people who inspire me at all levels of this business. And I know that I speak for everybody else who's been on these and who's on this call, who's on the current one as well. So I just want to share that with you because our incentive period qualifications happen once a year and they run for around 3 to 4 months each year. And so you will always have the chance to come on an incredible incentive trip with us. I know I'll be working to never miss one with my time in doTERRA. So make sure you keep incentive trip front in mind. But for this episode of Becoming Influential, we are talking about the difference that makes the difference for me, my ultimate doTERRA USP. And if you're wondering what a USP is, prior to us diving in, it actually means your unique selling point. So your individual unique selling point. So let's dive into today's show. I'm going to be asking Courtney the first question today. Courtney, can you explain, this is wonderful. Courtney, can you explain what a USP is and the importance of having one in modern marketing?
Hi.
Better than me.
Hi, everybody. So as Alice has just shared, USP stands for unique selling point or unique selling proposition. It's also commonly called. And basically what that means is it's what sets you apart from your competitors or other people in your market. It's what makes you different, what makes you stand out, what makes you unique and special. And I mean, in any business, this is important, but particularly in modern marketing, in modern network marketing. Now, we all know doTERRA, of course, has incredible unique selling points. We've got the way we source our oils, the quality of our oils, pretty much every single thing about our amazing company. But we want to go a step further than that. And as wellness advocates, it's so important that we have those unique selling points ourselves. So gone, I think, when we're talking specifically about modern marketing, gone are those days where we just follow exactly what the person before us has done and speak exactly the way they did because it worked for them. It's really about embracing who you are and what makes you special and what, like, every single one of us has got the most incredible, unique value to bring to doTERRA. And so it's really about tapping into that.
Fantastic, Courtney. I really like that answer, that it is really about your personal touch and unique personality and all your gifts and talents which need to shine through to set yourself apart from others and add to all what doTERRA has to give to you already. All right, the second question is for Nicky. Have you ever had a crisis of confidence in your direction and unique value with all the different points of view and approaches in doTERRA?
Yeah, so to be honest, not really. I've had moments of seeing maybe something that someone else has been doing and questioning if I should be going in that direction. But I've always just come back to stay in your own lane. I just keep reminding myself it's okay to pivot in our businesses. And obviously, like that, if something's not working, that is what you should be doing. But in terms of the way that I'm talking about the oils, I stick to what I know. Whenever I have tried to talk about something that either I haven't personally benefited from, or just something where that doesn't authentically align with me, it feels disingenuous, and B, people see through that really fast. One example is that I don't often talk about the emotional properties of the oils. So I talk a lot about this, like stress and anxious feelings, emotional support in that context. But in terms of getting into the juicy details of maybe like trauma healing and all that kind of stuff, that is not my jam. Give me an oily first aid kit any day. But that's okay, because we're all so different, and having a particular niche is actually okay, and it's actually necessary. It's what sets us apart, and it's actually going to draw your particular tribe to you. I likely don't attract people that want to use oils for emotional healing. And I have complete peace on that. So, yeah.
I think that's so fantastic. And I know that what people may hear me speak about as well, Nikki, is that oftentimes it's okay to choose different niches on the way. And typically when you're on the path in movement, moving forward, is when you'll be able to access that unique selling point and find that niche for you. It's well and good to be at the start and say, I think my niche is going to be this, but it's oftentimes I find, particularly with women as we deepen, and men who deepen our experience with the essential oils, it's not until we're in that experience and gathering that info and using them on ourselves and in our homes that then we find that niche. And so that unique selling point can be, kind of soft and fuzzy at the start, and it can become more crystal clear. So I love that you have found yours while you're in that flow as well, and that you pivoted and tried other things and seen what works. That's so fantastic. So Courtney, have you ever encountered any negativity from the field or from people who follow you regarding your unique selling point or your brand? Like you post something and keyboard warriors come out to slaughter you for your opinions and your passions?
It's such a great question. And I guess there's kind of two parts to that. I would say that this is not something I've experienced in a really big way. And what I truly think that comes back to is when you build that confidence in showing up as your authentic self, and you're creating that community, and exactly like Nikki said, like attracting those people that are really aligned with you. I'm the same. I've got certain topics of oils that I don't touch on because they don't light me up, and I probably don't know enough about them. But I stick to what I know, and I've attracted this community of people who are so like-minded that they do vibe with a lot of what I'm saying. And quite often, I absolutely have people in my community that might not like some things that I say or disagree with some things that I say, but because we've built that relationship and that connection, it is very rare that I'll have someone actually come at me, like troll me or anything, because we can have really beautiful, respectful conversations when we don't agree on everything. I will say though, there have been a couple times, more so if I've had, like if we're going specifically to social media, a post maybe go a bit viral where it's reached an audience that I wouldn't normally have in my circle. And that has happened a few times where I've had people come at me with not so nice comments. And I guess my attitude towards that and my attitude towards life, I'm so sorry, I've got timer lights. I don't know how to fix them. Keep going off. But I get to choose where my energy goes. And I know that I have got this beautiful, like-minded community that support me and I get to connect with. So if I get comments like that aren't constructive and they're not about having a conversation, they're just about tearing me down or, whatever, I just don't engage with that. It's my page. That's my space. I get to say, see you, bye. And, I'll remove or I'll block. I've got no problem doing that because that's my space and my energy. And I know who my people are. I know who I'm connecting with. So
Oh, well, I love this answer. And it's really truly all about authenticity and the relationship building with your tribe, with the right people, right? So, and the truth is, not everybody will like you. Not everybody will agree with you. That's just a fact of life. And we all have to deal with this, right? But then to focus on your tribe and just let it run down your back like water, and not to be negative affected by that. So great answer. Now, the next question is for both of you, and let's start with Nicky first. How did you discover what your USP is in the doTERRA business space? Like lavender does 50 different things, but people often buy because they want the experience you are having or feeling as you shared it, right? And how does your USP play into why people buy from you?
Yeah, so good. So my USP, I guess it kind of flowed from what naturally excites me. So for me, I have a medical background. So as I've kind of already alluded to, my jam is therapeutics. So using oils in place of conventional pharmaceuticals, that lights me up. Lowering toxic burden. So I'm attracting mamas that are wanting to do better for their kids, women wanting to, ditch chemicals. I will tell you that a fast road to burnout in this business is trying to focus on something that you are not passionate about. I was actually, I was on a grow call on Tuesday talking to some of the participants, and someone actually asked me a question. They asked me, what would I say if I was trying to explain to somebody, a potential customer, why doTERRA is so expensive in comparison to other oils? And I was giving an example of what I would say to that particular person. And I caught myself mid-flow, and I reflected on the intensity in which I was answering this question, the conviction that I was speaking from. And I was like, whoa, like I just made me realize that I was really in the right place. I think when you are really solid on the company, the ethics, the purity, the integrity of that company, you're going to have the confidence in explaining everything. So I guess I encourage you, when you're thinking about a USP, ask yourself, what do you speak about with passion? Okay, so what aspects of doTERRA could you literally chat for hours about? And I think that will really help you kind of hone in on that.
Wow, great answer. And I like you really, doTERRA gives us a whole smorgasbord which we can talk about, right? And some might be more into the social impact sourcing. Maybe some are more into the purity and the potency of the oils. Some are more into about the community aspect and the healing hands and doing service. So, right, focus on what really gets you going, right? And fantastic answer. Thank you. How about you, Courtney?
Okay, so I think it was like a little bit of a journey for me, but so much of it is similar to what Nicky said, is coming back to what lights me up and what brings me joy and what gets me excited. Like, I know when I first started my business, I was a bit unsure of that, and I think that that's really common. And I started off sharing in a way that my uplines did. One of them is right here, Alice Nicols. And I would try and talk about all of the things that she spoke about. And that's not, it's not my background. It's not the same things that light me up. And so the more that I built my confidence and started speaking as myself, whether that was in my classes that I was doing or in the online space, I started to become more comfortable talking in my own voice and telling these personal stories that I was starting to build up. And what really shone through, I guess, with that, and one of the reasons that developing that unique selling point is so powerful, is because when I'm telling those stories that are so meaningful to me, those little experiences that I have had that have really impacted like the life of my family, like the emotion in that is what my audience or the people attending my class are connecting with. And so often when they're attracted into that space, they're looking for those similar things. And so it's so much more powerful, I guess, when you're talking about oils, rather to sit there and go, these are the uses and benefits, that's cool. But if you can sit there and go, this was my experience, this was how I felt, it was horrible, and then I found this oil and this is what it did for me, and now this is how we feel, the impact of that is just so powerful, and that's what people are connecting with. I don't need to be an encyclopedia on the aromatic compounds of every oil, okay? I need to tell my truth and my stories, and I need to build that connection. And that it's a work in progress still, 4.5 years in. But that's what I try and do every time that I'm sharing about oils. And that's what I find, works really well in my business.
I love that so much. Stories are absolutely fantastic when it comes to that. And when people can connect with your experience, there's a trust and a faith, like a know, like, and trust position within your own business in the market, which is beautiful. I get to ask a question to both of you, which is one that just makes me feel so good inside. And it's, coming from a corporate environment myself, and also seeing, I'm going to throw this out there, seeing or hearing about experiences within other companies in the referral marketing or network marketing or multi-level marketing business, is that in typical corporate environments and some other environments, when you have a point of difference, is seen as a competitive edge and a heavily guarded secret. And in doTERRA, though, what I've gotten to witness and experience, and I imagine what you women have as well, is that your cross-line sisters and cousins and brothers from entirely different teams are able to see your content, and they can understand how you are marketing yourself as a unique selling point and a brand as well. Can you talk to us about this community, perhaps why this differs and can actually help you with your doTERRA business, or how it is that we work as cross lines together to assist you in growing your business in such a collaborative way in what could be seen as a competitive environment? I'll ask Nicky first.
Yeah, sure. I love this question. And I adore this point of difference in our company. I think we are just also different, and different people are going to align with different leaders' styles, because we're also individual. And I share obviously a truckload of free content on my social media, and this is obviously, it's great for my leaders to see how I model that, how I show up, and how I grow my business. And it's also great, it shows others what's possible. I obviously get some people from other teams showing up and, asking me questions. So I think as a leader, you do need to be careful, because obviously you don't have the capacity to, support other people's enrollments. But in general, I think the more leaders that my team are following, the better it is, because they're all learning from each other. And you're going to basically take that and find your own style in that. I have learned so much from the likes of Alice and Courtney, Sarah Gordon, all of these amazing women. And so it kind of just all flows on what I kind of glean from them. I hopefully, other people can see, how I show up, and take something from that as well. And I think it's such a beautiful, just circular giving and serving, from a place of just genuinely wanting to help people. I personally feel like the more that I freely kind of just give, the more that I just naturally get back. That being said, for those of you that do have, your own personal communities, don't give away too much for free. Otherwise, there's obviously no incentive for people to come and want to be closer to you and actually want to come into your beautiful community. So give little wee tasters, and Courtney's great at doing this, little insights to people of, what they're missing out on, because, FOMO, it's real. So yeah, do that.
Amazing. And Courtney, I obviously get the pleasure of working alongside you, and I know that we have worked together and worked with other leaders from other teams to actually create and launch and deliver education and content together. So where it's us and leaders from what could be seen as a competitive business actually delivering that content, like, what's your take on this and how it can actually impact positively your business and why it's so beautiful about the doTERRA culture, that you can operate in an environment with perceived competitors and actually increase the value of your business and how people see you.
Oh, this is one of my favorite things about doTERRA. Similar to you, Al, I've worked in a lot of different corporate environments, and it has never been an overly, supportive environment when you've got colleagues that are all kind of in the same position. And I think what it really comes down to with doTERRA is that the culture here is that, like, if I rise, we all rise. And that is something that I have felt to my core since the moment I started my business. The people in those early days that were the biggest supports to me were Alice's other leaders. So they were my cross lines. They were the ones that were holding my hand and supporting me and giving me all of the tips. And in any other environment, they would be my direct competitors. And when I look at the culture that's built here and who we are and what we want to see for one another, there's no scarcity mindset, because we all believe that there is enough customers there for us all to succeed, and we are all going to attract the people that are right for us. I know it was said earlier, not everyone's going to like all of us. There are people out there that won't like me. There are people out there that hopefully will like me, but there is one of us out there, one of us amazing wellness advocates out there for every single person to share these oils. And so the more that we can share these tips and our knowledge and the ways that we succeed, like, we get to do this together. And it's one of the best things about doTERRA, just that openness to share. And, the leaders in this company, they genuinely want every single one of us to be as successful as them. And you won't find that anywhere else.
That's so true, Courtney. And you just mentioned scarcity mindset. And look, it all comes from me from the top. And the owners who created doTERRA, they really put out a certain culture and emphasize that. And for me, funny enough, the most successful ones have really applied that in their business, right? And this is really so unique. And then we have sometimes in our team also people coming who have the scarcity mindset, who want to do it just as a business and want to keep their secret sauce for themselves. And they fail, they fall away, or they get transformed. And I've seen so much transformation over the last 12 years of leaders who came with this traditional mindset, like, okay, I've got to keep my secrets, I got to keep everything together, and I will not share. And then they have transformed, and then they have flowered so much more. Fantastic answers. Thank you much. Thank you so much. All right. So the next question is for both of you. And let's start with Nicky again. How it's part of the human condition to feel scared or shy to really own who we are in the public domain. How do you get the point where you feel worthy enough to share your zone of genius unapologetically?
Yeah, so good. I think for me, it's practice. It's doing the hard thing over and over again until it stops having that overwhelming feeling. You may always feel nervous getting behind the camera, but I promise you it gets easier. Practice chatting to your audience like you would a friend, would be my advice. I also think doing affirmations, praying, journaling, for me, it's tapping into my faith, knowing that God has actually brought this work into my life. He has given me the gifts to be able to articulate and share this knowledge with other people. So I would be doing him, I would be doing myself, I would be doing others an incredible disservice by not showing up, by shying away, and not standing in that authority that I have. So yeah, start there. Otherwise, I guess doing some kind of self-worth work as well. There's lots of beautiful people to follow on social media who speak to this. So being intentional about changing some of those neural pathways that may have been created and with those patterns of kind of negativity. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. So it's really like what you mentioned, and I think this is for the really strong leaders in doTERRA is very true. There is a higher purpose. And, you know, you might be a Christian, you might be Muslim, you might be something else, but there is a higher purpose where we draw a lot of energy from. And then kind of like it gives us the power to stand in our truth and in our authenticity and shine bright because we're connected maybe to something which is higher, right? And bigger than us. So yeah, I like that answer. Beautiful. Courtney, how about you?
I really love this question because I think for people who know me well, they see this, but a lot of the rest of you probably don't. Is I like for me that feeling of worthiness is a constant battle. Anytime that I like to be speaking on this call right now, this is terrifying for me. Every time that I step out and do one of these things, it's scary, and I have that internal monologue of, you know, what do you have to share, or you know, what do you think you're going to say that they don't know? But what I always come back to in this business, and especially when we're talking about, you know, connecting with customers and sharing that value, is that at the end of the day, what I know to my core is that these oils help people and these oils change lives. And I've got the opportunity to share that. And so I'm going to take it, even if it feels a bit scary and even if I've got a bit of self-doubt. And one of the things that became really apparent to me in the early days of my business, you know, especially when I thought I didn't really know that much, is that the people that were coming into this space to learn about oils, they knew nothing. So the things that I was telling them, whether it was something so simple as, did you know that you could make a cleaning spray with lemon? You know, they would have their minds blown. This was brand new information to them. And so I guess that's just how I kind of push myself to show up. And the thing that continues to drive me is when I get those messages from customers, like, and I know that every single one of you will have these moments where someone messages you and says, thank you so much. I tried the DigestZen on my tummy and it made such a difference. Or, oh my goodness, my baby has slept through the night. Like, thank you. And you get to see that. You get to see the difference that you're making. And so it drives you to continue to show up and push through that uncomfortableness and see your worthiness.
I love that so much. The oils are such an incredible gift, and what you can bring into these people's lives is so powerful. And we always have to remember to come back to that as well, I think, when we are doubting ourselves. But Courtney, that's so beautiful. I also will share that we were having a chat, a few of us, this afternoon about the nerves and the anxiousness and anxiety that can come up presenting within these environments. And, you know, I've been with doTERRA for 6 years now, and I've been with other corporate organizations prior to that. And there still has never been even a team Zoom that I do not get anxious about before it starts and still press the red button. And that's why, you know, you get to where you get on a certain days to keep saying yes and to keep pressing the button through those feelings of whether it's self-worth or self-doubt or feelings of anxiousness or worry or stress or tension. It's just that continuous forward movement, and it's so important. And the next question that is for both of you, Nicky, I'm going to start with you, and I feel like it actually ties really closely in with the previous question, but I'd love to perhaps ask you to elaborate a bit more. I love what you're sharing about rewiring the neural pathways and things that you do when you feel like you know, you could get shy or feel like there's something maybe in your way. But the balance between humility and having the fortitude to stand in your zone of genius, it can be tough. And so I know from witnessing and knowing women who have maybe gone from not having an online business or solo business or face-to-face business themselves to being the CEO of their own doTERRA business, it can be a big leap. And there has to almost be perhaps an adjustment of confidence and posture to actually find success in that. So having the humility and having the fortitude at the same time to be in that zone of genius, how do you navigate that yourself?
Yeah, gosh, such a complicated question. I think for me, staying grateful really helps. So never feeling too big for my boots, or that I've, you know, accomplished really anything. But staying in a real service kind of mindset, knowing that I am in a place of influence. I have gained people's trust. They are investing in me to guide them, to educate them, and that is a huge privilege. Something that I never take for granted. I think for me, yeah, humility comes pretty easily, because obviously there's freaking legends out there that I compare myself with still. I mean, I probably must have been over 6 months ago, Courtney and I were having a chat on social media about this, about, yeah, just that comparisonitis, and just trying to just keep your eyes forward. So yeah, definitely humility's not something that I've ever been accused of having a problem with. But yeah, I think staying grateful and just keeping things in perspective, yeah, has really kind of helped me.
And what about yourself, Courtney? Like standing in that zone of genius, and you know, I love that, feeling grateful. It's so fantastic. What are the steps that you take when you do show up after feeling like there is a lack of self-worth or something like that? Is there a process that you embark upon so that you're standing there? I mean, the fact that we can see you go from what you've just shared as nerves and stress and anxiety to create a reel that will then go viral, looking like the most confident human on Instagram. What's happening between those, in that gap? What's going on in your mind?
I'm just sniffing a lot of frankincense, my friends. No, usually I am. But I guess I really love, like Nicky was saying, about the comparison. And there's been so many times in my business where I've been, you know, really going ahead with the things that I'm excited about and I'm passionate about. And then I go and look at all of the other leaders and I start comparing myself and, oh, but they're doing it better, or they might know more than me, or, oh, you know, all of those feelings. But what I've got to come back to is, guess what? Those beautiful wellness advocates who inspire me every single day, they're not my customers. I'm not creating content for them. My content doesn't need to be, you know, like theirs or better than theirs or anything. They are not my customers. They are there as, you know, my friends or my inspiration or my, you know, all of those other wonderful things, but that's not my market. And so that's what I really have to come back to, in that comparison mind. And I find that helps me a lot. You know, the people, I know who my target audience are, and they are the beautiful people who are only just discovering essential oils. And in that space, I have zone of genius. I've got so much that I have learned and I continue to learn. And there has never been a time in my business where I have positioned myself or pretended to be an expert at anything. I am continually learning and continually growing, and nothing is ever perfect in my house or my life. And that is what I share with, you know, with all the people that I'm connecting with. But I say, hey, I'm learning, I'm doing all of this, come along with me. Let's learn and let's do it together. And for them, that's amazing and exciting.
Wow, fantastic answers, and so many great insights from both of you. I just love that. It's like that negative mind chatter, comparison, not being good enough. And I think for everybody, it's something which you always will struggle a bit, because it will always come up and we always have to be constantly aware. But thankfully, yes, Courtney, we have frankincense. We can come always to the bottom, to the truth, right? Who we really are, and that we are worthy and that we are unique. And that doesn't mean that everything goes always right. And it will not, right? And that's great. And that makes us human, that makes us relatable, and that strengthens our heart connections with our team and with everybody else we'll meet, right? So to just one quick question for both of you to finish off that part here before we go into question and answering. What does influence mean to you? Nicky, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I think for me, influence, it means having the ability kind of like the capacity and the honor actually to inspire someone to make changes in their behavior in a positive way. That's kind of, yeah, in a nutshell, what I guess it means.
Fantastic. How about you, Courtney?
Yeah, influence is all about the impact, the way that you can create, beautiful change through, connecting with and inspiring and then empowering people to do things that are going to make their life better. And when you create those connections first, the relationship, that's when you can really make the impact.
Thank you so much. You are both incredible. Your answers are so inspiring for me, and I think also for the whole audience. I hand it over now back to Paul to introduce what's happening now.
I'll close it off, Adeesh. I want to say, sorry, mate. I want to say one more thing, actually, just to finish off what we were speaking about with your zone of genius and being one step ahead of anybody who has not yet experienced oils. Just sharing something really quickly. When we were in a face-to-face class environment, which is such a beautiful environment to be able to introduce these oils to, I remember sitting in rooms of people and passing around peppermint oil, which was often the very first bottle that we would crack in a face-to-face class environment. And if we have 3 people or 4 people or 10 people in a room who have never experienced, I'm not just going to say essential oils, but I'll say doTERRA essential oils specifically because they are so vastly different. When you smell that peppermint oil and you smell perhaps other companies, you'll be able to tell. The person sitting next to you who opens the bottle first has an experience to share prior to the next person. It might be a 5-second gap, but that person in that moment has something really powerful to share. And I think we need to remember how incredible those beautiful first moments are and what magic we have, I suppose, to share it in those moments and when we first begin working with doTERRA. Nicky and Courtney, thank you so very much for being here with us today and sharing generously for the benefit of the whole community. And to all of you listening out there, thank you so much for tuning into Becoming Influential, the chat show for modern marketers. Join us for our next episode where we talk the failures that made me. And that's going to be such a juicy episode. I'm so excited about that. We have a couple of exciting special guests that will advertise in the lead up to the next episode, which will be Wednesday, the 6th of April. So our plan is to run each episode on the first Wednesday evening of each month. So you can pop that in your calendar now, as we've got some really amazing guests and stories coming up. Thank you so much for joining us. Amazing. You cannot speak yet, Ruby. Paul, do you want to click the recording off? Or are we recording the Q&A? All right, we're going to keep rolling. Okay, so it's 20 minutes to the end of time now. My daughter was just asking if she could speak. I've muted her for the time of this. And if you meet my daughter Ruby, you'll know Brad and Lauren Olson. I saw that you are on this call live on your camera. So I'm going to call you out because we are giving away a gift to people who are on the call live. I noticed you're here and you're going to receive a prize for being here with your cameras on. Even though I know you probably have a few other places to be this evening, but you guys will understand why muting Ruby for a 40-minute period in a live environment, the fact that that just happened is phenomenal. So I'm very happy about that. We have a Q&A period now for the next 19 minutes. And I'm so excited about this because some of the best, most amazing gold comes out of this and you get the floor. And I just want to say that having an environment like this with people with such a depth of experience, if you have a question that you want to ask, please ask it. I will often find that people will bend your ear when they finally break the ice with you after sitting next to you or something for a long time, but ask it now. If you're new and you're nervous, ask the question now. There may not be another time, that you get the chance to sit and speak to people with this level of experience just on a whim. So hit the question box up, hit the chat box up with the questions, I should say, and we can deliver those to Courtney and Nicky. These two women, as I shared at the beginning of this episode, both qualified for doTERRA's incentive trip. So that tells you two things. The first one is that they are consistently high enrolling. And the second thing is that they have a really fantastic ability to support their customers towards the loyalty rewards program or additional orders. And that's the two most powerful metrics of a successful doTERRA business. So I really want to see questions in the chat box. Why is there not one yet? Come on. Favorite doTERRA product and why? Thanks, Jess. Let's ask that to Nicky quickly, because that's a good rapid fire question to start with, I think. Favorite doTERRA?
Oh, favorite doTERRA product. Favorite doTERRA oil would have to be Citrus Bliss. I just am such a fan of the citrusy, vanilla-y kind of mix. So yeah, there you go.
Love it. Okay, so this is one to you, Nicky, as well. How do you support your frontline?
Yeah, so my frontline leaders, my qualifiers, two of them are actively building, and at the moment those two beautiful ladies are in the Grow program, which is really exciting. So somebody else has kind of taken over that mentoring role for me for a few months, which is amazing. But in terms of supporting them, yeah, I try and I try and organize meetings, usually once a month-ish, but I'm touching base with them regularly as well. I'm just sounding them out, like, how's everything going? What's not working this month? You know, how can I help? Even just being a sounding board for a lot of people is beneficial. So yeah, I think just communication and not just checking in. I think this is important, not just checking in with people at end of month and being like, hey, you haven't really enrolled much this month, you know, what's going on? Like, keep that flow of communication so that it's a relationship and it's not just a business kind of transaction, because these are people that have friendships have grown from business opportunities, which is always beautiful, but these were not friends to begin with, if that makes sense. So I have to, yeah, they're my beautiful friends and I treat them like that. So yeah.
That's really fantastic. I've got some more questions here. I'm going to throw one to Courtney. And that's a really great topic, actually. I've just written that down because I think it's something that's so layered, and there's, you know, it's not just black and white as well. And I think there's layers to the question and why people ask it. And so I think it's a great topic for the future chat show as well. And I think it's one that we can definitely look at for, which I've written down. Okay, so Addie has asked a question that I think will be hot on a lot of people's minds. So the transition from enrollment to loyalty rewards program is a tough one for me here. And it was for me too. I'll put my hand up for that as well. So I'm typically a hunter and haven't been a farmer in the past, and that changes when you have a doTERRA business. So any insights are super helpful. Courtney, how do you support from enrollment to loyalty rewards program?
Okay, so this two things that I'll say, and I know that this was touched on in depth on the amazing call that we had last week, but the first thing is actually being bold to speak about it. I know that it's really easy to get into that mindset of going, oh, they've just bought a kit, so I don't want to ask them to buy more, but really anchor into that belief that when the LRP is not asking them to buy more, it's providing them with the lifestyle and the actual, like, people sign up for a 12-month membership when they get their oils. They don't just get the kit, they've got a membership that's going to run for the next 12 months. And for them to get the absolute most out of it and the absolute most out of this lifestyle, this opportunity to go low tox or to heal their family or to, you know, whatever it is, the loyalty rewards program is the smart option for them. It's going to help them, you know, whether it's swapping your household products or, you know, growing your collection or whatever it is, they're going to get free oils. They're getting the best discounts. It's us offering a service, not asking them for money. We are serving them when we talk about the loyalty rewards program, and we're doing them a disservice when we don't tell them about it. And that's what I've always tried to believe in my business. But, you know, it's all about how you continue to educate and support your customers. So if you are getting someone who enrolls and, you know, you sign them up, they join your community, and then you're not touching base with them, and you're not providing them with that ongoing education, whether that's through, it doesn't have to be through a particular platform. A lot of people use Facebook, some people use Instagram, some people use email, or maybe they're just face-to-face wellness consults and, follow-up classes and all of that. But however you're doing that, if you're continuing to inspire that love for their oils and their products and all of the new amazing ways that they can continue to use them, the loyalty rewards program is eventually going to be a no-brainer. So just keep talking about it.
I love that. And I will say I'm in the chat box now and I'm like, oh my gosh, which one? Because now that the top has been popped, it's like 30 great questions. So there's one that I'd love to hear. Courtney, you mentioned multiple ways of enrolling, then obviously face-to-face or online. And there's a few questions around like, how do you do it? What does your business look like? I think it's important to obviously for everybody to remember that we're speaking about a unique selling point or a brand as well. And so how these women do their thing is not something that you may want to say, because Courtney does it like this or Nicky does it like this, I'm deciding that this is successful for them, so I'm going to pick it up. So I just want to pre-game this question with this one. But have the challenges of the last few years modified your biz style? And if so, how? And I'll add to that something from another one. So how do you get your enrollments from your followers online, if that's how you do it? And do you go for a product or kit approach? That's really two separate questions. Let's go with, have you changed your business in the last 2 years online? I think I've had too much sun today too.
I think we've all got sunstroke from the boat. Okay, so my business has definitely evolved in the last couple of years. When I first started my business, a lot of people actually see me now and think that I've only ever built online, because I really, really like Instagram. But the truth is, when I started my business probably 4 or so years ago, I was face-to-face. I was in lounge rooms every single week. I taught so many classes, and Alice will confirm that I'm also I could possibly hold the world doTERRA record for the person who had the most no-show classes in the history. Like I promise you, I had so many, but I just kept teaching and I kept showing up, and resilience is my strength. My business changed, and I actually put a lot of that to my personal life circumstances. So I've always been good on social media. I have worked in digital marketing in the past, so it's a skill of mine. But I've got young kids, and so after my second was born, my husband works away, FIFO. He's done that for about 10 years. And it actually just got to a point when our second came along that it was not practical for me to be in lounge rooms anymore. I couldn't do that every week. And now I'm pregnant with my third, and that will probably get harder. But the beauty of the way that I had built my business was I had built quite fast, because I was doing the face-to-face thing. But I, in that time, had also been building my online community. And I wasn't enrolling originally online, but I was doing those really important things of building community, building connection, having these relationships with my audience. And so it did get to a point where, yes, people did start buying from me online. And now they continue to do that. So I love doing face-to-face classes. I love them. I don't do them that frequently at the moment. So it's really, I think it's really great to have both options there. The other part of the question, Alice, was?
Let's forget the other part of the question for now, sorry. And we'll go to Nicky. And I'd love to say ask Nicky, the last 2 years, how has your business adjusted, if it has?
Yeah, it definitely has. I have a very, very similar story to Courtney, in that I started with the physical classes, but COVID, for those of you who are not New Zealanders, I live in Auckland, which has been the city that has been the most locked down for the last 2 years. So it has not been feasible. And even when things opened up, there's just been this fear of, being in public spaces. So online classes has been my jam. I have pretty much done an online class every single week for maybe 2 years. So I am nothing if not consistent with showing up, and I've had plenty of no-shows, don't you worry. But I just keep doing the thing, and sometimes I'll have 8 or 10 women, and sometimes I'll have none. But I keep doing it. And anyway, so I do still teach online, and the people that are coming to my classes are usually through Instagram. But I am getting enrollments now from Instagram. I would say probably in the last year, and that has come from showing up consistently, day in and day out, over and over again. People have followed me. Sometimes they'll tell me, I've been following you for a year and I'm finally ready. Like Instagram is a long game, and I'm sure Courtney will say that as well. Some people will start following you and then enroll the next month, but that's not the norm. You've got to allow that time for people to really get that grow to actually trust you as an authority on it, and get to the point where they want to invest to be kind of closer to you and on the journey. So yeah.
That's so powerful to remember. Sarah Gordon was talking about this yesterday. When she has enrollment months with people online, she reminds those who kind of like, how did you do that this month? That the enrollment that happened in that month didn't take that month to have that person enroll. It took the 6 months of sharing and support prior to that to have that person build that know, like, and trust factor with her, and then put their faith in that purchasing decision. And I've had people who purchase from me now who may have been following me for 6 or 8 years. It's quite amazing how that works, and that's where that consistency that you speak about just trumps everything. If you can keep showing up. And Paul's question, how many no-shows did Courtney have? Definitely she was right. The person who in my team who had more no-show classes than any other person, and she was breastfeeding at the time, I think, and she'd set her whole house up and clean it, and would often have 0 people arrive, and still kept going. So phenomenal. Okay, so there's a question here from Katerina. Where do you start? First of all, she thanks you. So just saying this is brilliant, guys. So I second that, and I think everyone else does as well. But her question is, where do you start off builders? This is a really awesome question. I love it. Thank you so much for asking. Where do you start off builders that have had a break and are willing to get back on? She's an almost silver in a few months, but most of the time elite. How would you approach it, Courtney, to begin? And I'd love to hear from Nicky too.
Just to clarify, do you mean like as a leader, how do I support them back in, or is that?
Yeah. Let's say you've got someone that you've been working with who's taken a bit of a hiatus for whatever reason. There's probably a million of them from the last 2 years, and they've decided they want to come back and partner with you in doTERRA. What would you advise, or how would you support that?
Straight back to basics. Going through, and not even people that haven't had a break, actually, this can be so powerful for revisiting those basics of the business, going through pipes, going through how to host a class, getting comfortable again with how to communicate and how to talk about oils. But go back to basics and, start, go through the things that light them up in the business. I think that's really important. There's definitely always going to be aspects of it that you're really drawn to, and the things that make you want to keep going. So anchoring into that first and foremost, you're back. This is amazing. What makes you feel good? What's your favorite thing about this business? That's where we'll start. And so for some people, it might be, sitting down in a class and teaching and having those connections and sharing the oils. But yeah, that's where I'd go, straight back to basics and to the heart of what brought them to doTERRA.
Yeah, so good. I would also, I guess almost work with them about, what is your new why? Because obviously something's happened that has made them step away for a time. It could be life circumstances that they couldn't control. A lot of the time it is, but let's really lock in, a fresh vision for this, and get them to, set some goals and then help them to relaunch. I'd be like, okay, should we do a combined class? Like, how can I help you with this? Because your energy is going to help them. And, hopefully they get a couple of enrollments out of, whatever class, online class, in-person class. class, just so that they can kind of keep that momentum and that energy high. So yeah, I would kind of re-solidify that why and help them launch, get right back to basics, and yeah, do some classes.
Thank you so much. I would add my 4 cents and say that that is just the most powerful thing. It was the first thing I thought of, is how can you create an experience with them where they get to change someone's life with that first inhale, when they can remember how good that feels. Sometimes it's very anxiety inducing prior to the experience, and then it's kind of freeing when you are teaching it, but then afterwards there is a welling of wonder that just always feels so good. I've never not felt high after one of those sharing experiences, which is so fantastic. Nicky Skinner and Courtney Dow, and thank you, Adeesh, my beautiful co-host. I want to thank everyone for being on. I know that you have a lot that you could be doing with your life, but you're investing in your doTERRA business, and this is the most powerful thing you can do within a community like this of crossline amazing people. So thanks for joining. We can't wait to share with you more in the future, and pop it on your vision board to come and be a guest on Becoming Influential. We want to hear from you in the future too. So thanks, guys. We love you. We'll see you soon.